Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. Today I'm going to do a partial playthrough of Red Rising to show you how this game works and especially how you play the solo version. I won't go through a complete playthrough, but enough rounds that you can get a feel for the basic idea of the game. So if you're curious to see how this plays solo, stick around. All right, so here you can see an overhead shot of the board and a lot of the components that are in the Red Rising game. If you want to see these in more detail, check out my Red Rising unboxing video. I'll put a link here up above. But here are some of the things you'll see. There's a sovereign token, which the people playing are going to be vying for. And when you play solo, you're going against Automa, and that is the automated opponent, the AI that you're going against. There's the rising die that you roll when you scout a card instead of pulling the card off the board, and then you roll this to figure out what your bonus is going to be, so I'll demonstrate that. There's the first player token, which is this moon, the lunar token. Each character is going to have 7 institute cubes and also a fleet token that they use to track their fleet along the top of the board here. These are the main cards of the game, and I've got some cards here set up on the card rail or on one of the different racks that hold the cards. We've got the house tiles, and you can play from 1 to 6 players, so there are 6 house tiles here. That each one has a different function. Whenever you gain the sovereign token, then you're going to have a special function. Each house has a special ability. When they gain control of the sovereignty, then they would have that special ability take effect. And then here are just some player aids that match in color to whichever one you want to choose. So the house can match with the tokens, can match with the card rail here. And so that's how that fits together. These are the helium tokens, and they are in this nice little wolf head tray here that fits right on the board. And then these are the cards that go with the solo play. So the cards on the solo play, you've got this one that says even and odd, and I'll explain how that applies later. And then you've got these other 2 cards which help you understand how the Automa works and different location selections for setting up. So it's just basically player references for how you would work the solo version of the game. And then there's cards A, B, C, and D, which I'll show you how they set up, but they help you align the board with somewhat of a random arrangement, along with this card to figure out what, since you're playing against an automated version of the solo, they don't choose one of these house tiles, so this card helps you figure out what is their special ability going to be, what are they going to focus on, and what's their special ability going to be. And then you have these automated cards right here that tell you how the Automa will play their turn each round. All right, so we've also got the scorebook, and that is a very brief overview. The goal of the game is that you're going to start with 5 of these cards in your hand. And you're going to be playing those cards and collecting cards. And every card has a particular value, which you can see up here in the top corner. This musician's value is 8 points. And they also have a deploy ability right here under the picture. And they also have another ability down here that helps them score at the end of the game. So this is worth 8 points, but it's worth an additional 32 if the core value of each of your cards that you have at the end of the game in your collection is an even number. So you look at all of these, if they're all even, you would get 32. So then this card, instead of being worth 8 points, becomes 40 points. And your goal really should be to try to score 30 to 40 points per card if possible. That gives you a really good score if you're able to do that. And you can only have 7 cards at the end of the game, or you're penalized 10 points for every card above 7. So you have to decide if you're going to go for more than 7 cards as you play through the round. Then you're going to take that penalty at the end. But if you're gaining a card that's going to value at 35 and you're only going to lose 10, then that's obviously a net positive gain. So you have to kind of play that out as you're getting close to the end to decide, do you want to go over that 7 or not? Now, to play the card, when you put it down on the board, let me move this stuff off here. When you put it down on the board, you are going to take the deploy action that's directly under the picture. And then let's say I played the musician here in this column. Then I'm going to use this deploy action. So for the musician, it says move a card with an even core value from this location to the top of another location. There will be cards, I'll show you the setup here in a minute, that are down there. So I would take that action if I can and want to, and then I would pick a different card up from one of the other 3 columns here. If I pick it up from Jupiter, then I'm going to take my fleet tracker and I'm going to move it up one level. If I pick it up from Mars, I'm going to take a helium token and add it to my stash. If I well, I couldn't pick one up from Luna because that's where I played this card. If I pick it up from the Institute, then I'm going to take one of my tokens and add it to the Institute, and those are going to be worth points at the end of the game. At the end of the game, the value down here at the bottom, depending on where your fleet tracker is at, if you're here at level 6, it's worth 21 points. If you're at level 5, it's worth 15. If you make it to level 10, it's worth 43 points. The helium tokens are all worth 3, and the Automa can only collect up to 10, but you can collect as many as you're capable of, and they're all worth 3 points, unless you have some sort of a card that changes that value, but they're worth 3 points under normal circumstances. And then for the Institute, the person who has the most in the Institute is going to get 4 points per token that's there, and you only have 10, so that's the most you can have in the Institute. And the person who gets second most is going to get 2 points per token that they have in the Institute, and then anyone beyond second place would get 1 point per token that they have in the Institute. Now for the Luna, let's say that I played this in the Institute, then I would pull one from Luna. That means I'm going to take the Sovereign token, and then I'm going to activate the special ability that's on my house tile. So if I was playing with the series house, it says whenever you gain the Sovereign token, even if you already have it, banish any one card from a location of your choice. At the end of the game, before scoring, banish one card from your hand. But you also start the game with 1 extra card, so instead of 5, you start with 6. So every house has its own unique ability and something that you do special whenever you gain the Sovereign token by playing or taking a card from the Luna place on the board. So that is the quick overview, and you'll see some of those things fleshed out as I play through a little bit here. So normally you would stock the board first and then draw your 5 cards, but I've already done that here just so that I can demonstrate how the cards fit into the holder and stuff like that. So I'm going to move some things around here for a second, get it more set up, and then explain how the setup functions in the solo mode and the differences between solo mode and playing with multiplayer. All right, so I've got things set up here a little bit more ready for the solo mode. So the only thing I've really changed is I've just chosen the Minerva house for my particular house. And so whenever I obtain the Sovereign token by taking a card from the Luna faction or the Luna area, it says when you gain the Sovereign token, even if you already have it, roll the rising die and gain the corresponding bonus. If the result of the roll is the Sovereign token, select any other bonus on the die. And then I have the turn overview player aid here in purple. I've got the 10 Institute tokens, and I've also got my fleet tracker. Now on the die, if I am to roll this eyeball, that means I'm going to look at the top card and then place it but not deploy it with the action to any location on the board. If I roll this, it's going to be just like if I pull a card from Jupiter and I'm going to move up the fleet track. If I roll this, it's just going to be like I pull a card from the Institute, I'm going to put a token on the Institute. If I roll this, it's going to be just like I pull a card from Mars, I'm going to get helium. If I roll this, like it said, I'm going to choose, this is the Sovereign symbol, so it means I'm just going to choose one of the other benefits of the die. If I roll this, I'm going to banish a card from any location. And if I roll this eyeball, it means I'm going to look at the top card and then just place it on one of the locations in the board or on the board. All right, so and I've chosen the green color. So here are the tokens for the Institute and the fleet tracker for the Automa. So Toll Automa will be using green. And let me just go ahead and show you the setup then for the solo mode. And just like in the regular mode, you play until three things have been satisfied. So the fleet track has to be to 7. There has to be someone with 7 tokens at the Institute, and someone has to have 7 of these helium tokens. And because it's me playing solo, there's only 2 players. So as soon as someone achieves 2 of those, in the normal game, it's as soon as all 3 are met by any combination of players, or if a single player achieves 2 of them. Since there's only 2 of us, me and the Automa, then it's just going to be the first one that can achieve 2, and that signals the end of the game. And then you tally up your points from the fleet track, you tally up your points from the Institute, you tally up your points from the helium, and you tally up your core points from the top of the cards, plus any bonus points you get across the bottom. Plus you get 10 extra points if you hold the Sovereign token at the end of the game, and then you would take away 10 points for any card over the maximum of 7 that you have in your hand at the end of the game. There's a little bit more to the scoring for the solo Automa, so I'll explain that at the end. So, all right, so here's how you set it up for the Automa. Normally you're going to put 2 cards on each of these different 4 places in the board, 2 of these cards, and then you would deal 5 out to yourself. I've already have those 5 dealt for demonstration earlier, so I'll just leave those. But then before we do that with the Automa, there's these A, B, C, and D cards, and we just shuffle these up, and then we're going to place them on the Jupiter, Mars, Luna, and Institute in random order, and that's going to determine kind of the preferences of the Automa as the play goes. So we'll just turn 1 here. So A is the Institute, C is Jupiter, B is Luna, and D is Mars. Okay, so just kind of randomly determining. So A and B are going to be more likely chosen by the Automa than C and D, but this just gives you kind of their preferences. As I might have certain preferences based on my cards, the Automa is going to have some based on this random assortment. The next part of setting up the Automa is to look at this card. And you specifically look at what is showing in the Luna area. And the Luna area says B. And so whenever I would take the sovereign token by pulling a card from Luna, I'm going to get my bonus action from my Minerva house. Since they don't have a house, the Automa doesn't have a house, they use this. So since the Luna says B, they're going to get the C action. And the way we've randomly set it up, the C action is Jupiter. So I just set this on there with Jupiter showing, so that anytime the Automa gains the sovereign token, not only do they gain the sovereign token, or they keep it if they already have it, they also will get this extra movement up the fleet track. Just like I would get my bonus action of my Minerva house, which is to roll the dice. All right, the other things for the Automa setup, there are just these cards that give sort of the Automa turn order if you need that player aid, and some different variants. There are several cards that you don't play with in the Automa normally, but these variants tell you how you can include them. Those cards are Loan Shark and Auctioneer, EO, the Psychologist, and Rock. And if you want to put in those 4, you can. There's really no opportunity to put in the Loan Shark as part of the variants, but I'll just put those off to the side. We're not going to use those in today's game. The other part of setting up the Automa is determining what's the preference for the Automa. Will it be odd or even? And to do that, we need to actually get the cards out on the table. And so just like in the regular game, you're going to put 2 on each part here. So we've got the Justice is going there, and we've got Octavia there, the Pathologist there, Reporter, Codebreaker, Ragnar, the Judge, Artisan, Chef. All right, and then the Automa takes 2 cards to start their path, and so, or their scoring. So we'll do that. We'll put their fleet tracker on the fleet track. We'll put our fleet tracker on the fleet track. And then you take 3 cubes from another color. So I'm using green for the Automa. I'm using purple for me. And then I've just taken 3 of the gold cubes, and we're putting those on the Institute. And that is just so that, because the first player gets 4 points per cube and the second player gets 2 points per cube and anyone beyond that gets 1, this is just giving that third kind of opponent. It's the only way the third opponent factors into the solo matchup, but it's just so that we have to beat that third character, that third player, so to speak, before we can earn the 2 points per cube. Otherwise, it would just be 4 for first place and 2 for second. There wouldn't be any vying for that second place. So this means we have to get more than 3 to earn that second level of scoring. So now we've got the cards out. This is where the even and odd come in. So we've got 15, which is odd, and 8, which is even, 30 and 20, which are both even, 5 and 10, 1 of each, 6 and 10. So more of these cards are even. And so that means at the end, the Automa is going to prefer and score more for the even numbered cards. And so to remind us of that, because these cards are going to be ever changing, just slide this up a little bit. We're going to put this just right underneath the board here to remind us that at the end of the game, the Automa is going to prefer and score more for the even numbered cards that they have in their possession. I don't know what these 2 cards are, but they've already got 2 cards in their hand, and we're just going to keep adding them to it over time. The next thing is we need to determine first player. So I'll just make the Automa first player, and we'll give them the Luna token. So that means I will get the last turn. So once one of us has achieved 2 of the end games of 7 on the track, 7 cubes here, or 7 helium tokens in our possession, that's going to signal the end of the game. If it happens during the Automa's turn, I'll still get my turn. If it happens during my turn, the game will end at the end of my turn. All right, so I think that's the setup. We'll go ahead and take the Automa's turn. Actually, let me show, well, let's go ahead and take the Automa's turn, and then I'll show you what my cards are, and we'll talk through a little bit of strategy here. So during the Automa's turn, one more thing about setup, you are supposed to take the top 4 cards off. I shuffled those earlier. Take the top 4 cards and set them aside. So we'll just put those right there. But during the Automa turn, you're going to flip over the card. The top half of the card shows you what you're supposed to deploy for them. It's got the deploy symbol here. And then the bottom half tells you what you're going to gain for them. And then if there's a star, you also get the bonus of the area that you gain. So here it says deploy to the Institute. And so I'm just going to take the top card here and deploy it to the Institute. And then I'm going to take a card into their possession and add it to their stack from A, column A, which is the Institute. Now, as a player, I can't deploy and pull a card from the same area, but the Automa can. So they're deploying to A, the Institute, and they're pulling from A. And then they get the bonus of A. So the A is the Institute, so they're going to put their first token there in the Institute, and now they're already on their way. Then we take a second card. So every turn, the Automa gets 2 card plays. This one says we're going to deploy to Luna. So we flip one over and put it on Luna. And then we're going to take one from B. So strangely enough, we're doing the same thing here, taking it right from where we deployed and putting it into their possession. And the star is there, so they're also going to get the bonus of that category. So because they pulled from Luna, they're going to get the sovereign token, which means if they still possess it at the end of the game, they're going to have a bonus of 10 points. And because of Luna being paired with the Jupiter category here, they're also going to move up the fleet track. So they're up there now. So they've added the Institute and they've moved up the fleet track in the first turn. And that is the end of the Automa. And every turn, that's basically the pattern. You're going to take 2 cards, you're going to perform them, and then you move on. Now, during our turn, I have 2 options. There's the lead action and the scout action. If I take the lead action, I'm going to take one of the cards in my possession here, and I'm going to place it on one of the 4 columns. And I will use the deploy action, so the action that's right under the picture that has the little deploy symbol here, and take that action based on that card wherever I play it. And then I'm going to take a card either from one of the other 3 columns. So if I play my card to the Institute, I'm going to take it from the other 3, and I'm going to get that bonus. Or I can take the top card off the deck and then just roll the dice to see what my bonus would be. So that's the lead action. Deploy a card, take its deployment action, and then take a card either from one of the other 3 columns or from the top of the deck, and then take the corresponding bonus. The other option is the scout action, and the scout action is where maybe I don't have a card here that I want to play, either because its benefit will be better later or because I'm satisfied with the cards I want. I don't want to get rid of any of them. Then I can just take what's called the scout action. I'm going to take a card off the top and just place it into any of the 4 columns and take the bonus of that column. So those are my 2 options, really. Now, to show you what cards I have, I'm going to put them under the close-up camera and let you have a little bit of insight into what some of the opportunities are that I might play during the game. So let me switch to the close-up camera. The first 2 cards I have are the Musician, which is of the Violet category, and its deploy action is to move a card with an even core value from the location where I deploy this to the top of another location. It's worth 8 points at the end of the game, but if the core value of each of the cards is an even number, it'll become 40 points. I'll add this 32. The Magistrate is worth a core value of 20. If I deploy it, the deploy action is, if you have the sovereign token, gain helium. And then at the end of the game, 15 points if you have at least 3 helium, 3 influence on the Institute, and at least level 3 on the fleet track. So if you get all 3s, instead of worth 20, it's worth 35. So those are 2 cards that I have in my possession. The next 2 cards, Dr. Virani and the Mess Hall Cook. And you can see here on the edge of the Mess Hall Cook happens to go well with these 2 colors. And if we see the deploy action, we'll see why. If deployed directly on top of a gray or an orange, move that card to the top of another location and advance 1 on the fleet track. So it's showing me here gray and orange are the cards that go well with it. And its base score is 10, but 5 for every gray and orange in my possession, in my hand at the end of the game. For Dr. Virani, only 9 points base, And it says, if deployed on Mars, reveal the top 2 cards of the deck and place them under this card in any order. So it would just give me a chance to pull more cards into the game. And then this little symbol down here means it's an end of game action. It's a specific end of game feature. So it says, you may gain any number of these banished cards: Victor, Severo, Fitchner, and any reds. So banished cards are going to be just taken out of the game and set off to the side, but this would allow me to take them back into my hand at the end of the game. So it's a nice in-game bonus potentially. And then the last card that I have in my hand of the 5 is Darrow. And Darrow is only worth 10 points. He's kind of the hero of the stories. And you can see the color of the card tells you what house they're in, what faction they're in, what caste they're in, but there's also the words there. So if you have color vision issues, they all say that color there as well. And this one says, gain any other non-gold from this location. So if I deploy it, I could take another non-gold card from that location, and then I'll banish Darrow unless I deployed him on a gold. So if I put him right on top of a gold and then took something else, I wouldn't have to banish him. But if I put him down and he's not on top of a gold, I'll have to banish him out of the game. Now, recognizing that this is going to allow me to gain back reds at the end of the game that have been banished, I may want to banish this one and then keep this one to the end so that I can pull him right back into my hand. You can see he's only worth 10 base points, but he adds 30 if you have 7 or more cards, including Darrow. So if I can get him into my hand and I can get up to that 7 or more number of cards by the end, even though I'm only starting with 5, he's going to be worth 40 points. So I think that's going to be part of my strategy. So let me go ahead and put these back on my card rack, and then we'll begin the game. So thinking about what I have in my hand, I don't think I'm going to try to capitalize on the musician card, because I think I do want to try to keep this Dr. Verny so that I can banish Darrow and then pull him back. But the musician only gives me that 32 bonus if all the cards in my end hand are even numbered, and I want to keep that one, which is an odd numbered card. So I'm going to use that as a deploy action at some point. And I can just move a card with an even core value from the location where I put that to another location. So if there's an even numbered card underneath that I really want to get a hold of, I can put the musician there and then move it to somewhere else so that I can gain it. I'm also probably not going to keep the mess hall cook, not worth really a lot of points. And I might be able to gain, I can deploy him directly on top of a gray or an orange and then move that card to another area and then also move up the fleet track. So it helps move up the fleet track and potentially have the opportunity to pull a gray or an orange card. Now the orange cards all at the end of the game give you the opportunity to change the name of that card. So some of these, it says like, if you have this card and that card in your hand, you get a bonus. Maybe I need Mustang or Octavia or some other card. I could just say, hey, this orange card is Mustang or Octavia. The gray ones also have a similar function where they become any color you want. So if it says you get 5 points for every blue card, the gray one, I can say, actually, this one's going to be blue. And so it'll give me more points. So those are nice to have in your hand, and this one will give me a chance to gain it. This one is not a bad card to have at the end, because if I can get 3 helium, 3 influence, and 3 on the fleet track, 3, 3, and 3, which isn't too hard to do, it's going to be a 35-point card, and that's a pretty good scoring one. And definitely, like I said, I want Dr. Verny. I'm probably going to banish Darrow at some time, and then so try to pull him back into my hand at the end for his bonus using Dr. Verny. So that's my kind of overall strategy. As I look at what's out here, the code breaker says here at the end, if the first letter of the names of all your cards are different, you're going to get 22 plus the 8. So it's not a bad card, but it may be difficult to get all the different numbers, because you can see right now I've got 3 that start with M. The Justice, you may reveal this whenever an opponent tries to take a sovereign token. It's got this shield symbol on it, which is a block. So if someone tries to take the sovereign token from me, I could play this or just reveal it, and that keeps them from taking the sovereign token. However, if I do, I'm going to banish this card to keep the token, and then I'm just going to gain the top card on the deck, so which may or may not be good for me. At the end of the game, it has one of those kind of pause play button looking things here. It says, if you have the sovereign token, gain 1 card of your choice from Luna. So it's only worth 15 points, but if there's a good card in Luna and I have that in my hand, I would gain an extra card at the end of the game. And remember, Darrow's going to give me extra points if I have 7 or more, so that would be a way to gain cards. So that's actually probably one I may want to try to get. Ragnar, plus 10 if he's with an orange, and plus 10 if he's with Sevi, and then 20 points just on his own. So I know I'm going to probably want an orange almost always. That's going to be helpful. And if I can find Sefi during the game, that would be good, and he'd be worth 40 points. He might not be a bad one to take as well. Octavia here, if you don't have either the sovereign token or Lysander, you lose 30 and it's base 30. So that one doesn't look great to me, so probably won't. I mean, the most it can be worth is 30. The Judge here, +3 for each of your cards. So if I had 7, that'd be 21 plus 10 is 31. Not bad. And then the pathologist, 10 if there are 5 to 9 banished cards at the beginning of endgame scoring, 25 if there are at least 10 banished cards. So if I see a bunch of banished cards going, it might not be bad, but even then it's still only worth 30. And then the artisan chef, 5 for each gold. Ignore any lost points from golds. Okay, so still doesn't look like a huge benefit. And then the reporter, 29 if you have the most helium or tied for the most. That'd be a 35-point card if I'm going for helium. So yeah, nothing too particularly great. I'm kind of interested in this Ragnar, and also interested a bit in this Justice card. So let's see. The mess hall cook I want to put on an orange or a gray, and there aren't any of those yet. So let's go ahead and try moving a card with an even core value. So let's see, what do I want to push for? I know he's going to be pushing at the Institute, and he's going to be probably pushing up the fleet track pretty good, so it might not be a bad idea for me to focus on trying to get some helium, but I also want to compete in those other areas. So I'll go ahead and start by putting it here. It says move a card with an even core value from this location to another. Ragnar is even, so I'm going to put this down on top, move Ragnar, and I'm going to go ahead and put Ragnar here on Luna. And that was my deploy action of my leading, my lead action. That's the deploy part. And now I get to gain a card. So I can gain one of the top cards on any of these rows, or I can gain this one and roll the dice. I'm going to gain Ragnar. Like I said, he's one of the ones I think might be valuable, up to 40 points if I can find Seppi and an orange. So I'll put him in my hand. And then because I took him from Luna, I'm actually going to take the Sovereign token into my possession. And that means I'm going to activate the Minerva bonus, which is roll the rising die and gain the corresponding bonus. So I'll roll the die, and I'm going to banish a card, which isn't really the greatest thing for me. Let's see. They want even cards, so maybe getting rid of some of these even cards wouldn't be a bad idea. I'll go ahead and get rid of the judge here, and we'll just banish the judge. Because, let's see, Victra, Severo, Fitchner, and Reds. None of those are out here, so that's not, Dr. Veroni's not going to really help me with any of these that I'll banish from that play. All right, so that was my turn. I deployed a card, and then I gained a card. And that's back to the Automa. We'll try to pick up the pace a little bit here now that some of those moves are more clear. So we're going to deploy to C. So we turn this card over and put it on C. And then we're going to take from D, which is here. So they're going to take that musician card. But this is blank down here, so they don't gain the benefit of that. And then we go to deploy to C again. So we're putting another one here, which is not great. I kind of want that Justice card, but the geek is being buried. And then I'm going to take one from B, so Pathologist. And because he took from Luna, he's going to take that Sovereign token right back. And also put one on the Institute because of this Jupiter bonus. And then he is going to banish a card. So the way the Automa banishes a card, just take one off the top here, and he's banishing Jaffo. All right, so he just put out the Razor Designer, so that is a gold one. And so that one wouldn't be bad to have. The bonus at the bottom, though, is it's 17 plus 13. 13 if it's with the gold, but no obsidians. And I kind of want this Obsidian Ragnar in my collection, so that may not be necessarily the best gold for me to choose, or sorry, orange for me to choose from. And then, let's see, for Alfred here, 10 if I have Nephro, and 10 if I have Jaffo, and Jaffo just got banished. So that one's probably not going to be real beneficial either. All right, so that was the Automa's turn, and now it is my turn. So I can go ahead and, let's see, you may gain a gold from this location if you do end your turn. So even though I may not want to keep this orange, it does help me to potentially gain a gold card at some point. And so that might not be bad. Also, this Artisan Chef, I guess, if I deploy this on top of a gold, I would move that gold to the top of another location and then place an influence on the Institute. So that might not be a bad one either. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put the Mess Hall Cook on top of this one. It says if deployed directly on top of an orange or a gray, move that card to the top of another location and advance on the fleet track. So I'm going to move this one to here, and I'm going to advance up the fleet track. And then I'm going to take this Artisan Chef, and I'm taking it from the Institute, which means I get to put a token on the Institute. So that was my turn. Deployed a card, took a card. Back to the Automa. All right, we're going to deploy to A. So Morning Star comes out on A, and then we're taking from A. So that's that. And then banishing a card, banishing the Priestess. So I'm just putting these over here in the banished area. And then for the second, deploying one to A. Nero comes out, taking one from Mars, so taking up Octavia, and then no action below. So that is the 2 steps for Automa. All right, so if I play this directly on top of a gold, I'm going to move it to another location and place an influence on the Institute. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put it right on here on top of Nero, which is a gold. I'm going to move it to another location, which I'll move it to here, the Mars location. And then because I did that, place an influence on the Institute. So I get to put another cube here. That was my deploy action. That's what the Artisan Chef allows me to do. And now I get to take a card. So this one isn't super beneficial right now in terms of the deploy. It's gain a helium for each red at this location. You can see there's no red cards out here. That's not going to be super beneficial early, at least not right now. At the end of the game, it's 25 points, plus 10 if I have the Sovereign token, but minus 5 for Cassius, Carnus, and Octavia. I'm not really shooting to get those other cards, so that's probably not a big deal, but it's still only 35 points. I don't know that I really want that one. I may just go ahead and take this Mess Hall Cook. It was kind of nice to be able to move some cards around and be able to deploy. So since I deployed the Artisan Chef this time, I'm going to take the Mess Hall Cook right back and put it into my collection. And because I took it from Jupiter, I'm going to move up the fleet track. And back to the Automa. All right, they're going to deploy to Mars. Mustang comes out. All right, and if we're going to take one from A. So they're taking that Artisan Chef card, and they're also getting the bonus of A. So they're going to put one more on the Institute. And then for the second card, deploy one to B. So out comes the Jackal, but then taking B. So boom, they take it right away, and they're gaining the bonus. Now they already have the Sovereign token for Luna, so they keep that, but they do move up the track because of their extra bonus here. And that is the 2 actions of the Automa. Now it's back to me. So Mustang came out, gain a banished card. If that card is not gold, banish Mustang, 5 for each different color. So 20 plus 5 for each different color. I may have a lot of good colors, so that might not be a bad one for me to have. Let's see. And let's see. Yeah, that's probably the best one for me to take at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and play my Mess Hall Cook again. It says, if deployed directly on top of a gray or an orange, move that card to the top of the location and advance one on the fleet track. So I'm going to deploy it on the orange. I'm going to move that orange to another location. I'm going to move up the fleet track, and that was my deploy action using the Mess Hall Cook's function. And now to take my card, I'm going to take Mustang into my hand. And I am then gaining a helium because I took from Mars. All right, so there's my turn. Back to the Automa. Placing one on Jupiter. So Romulus comes out on Jupiter, and then they're taking one from B. So they're taking my Mess Hall Cook. Can't keep using that one. They also get the benefit of B. They already have the Sovereign token, but they're moving up the fleet track. All right, second card for the Automa. Deploy to C. So they keep burying that Justice card deeper and deeper. And then they're taking one from Mars. They're going to take Nero, and they're gaining the benefit of Mars. So they're going to get a helium. You can see there's a couple columns here that are blank. If there ever is an action to be taken by the Automa that says it should be taken from a column where there are no cards, that's what these little triangles are for. So if I was supposed to take one from here, and there wasn't a card, it just says go one to the left and take that card instead. Now, if I've moved from here to here and there still is a card, I'd just keep going. If there wasn't one here, I'd cycle back around and just keep going until you find a card in the next column to the left. And some of them, as you can see, this one over here pointed to the right. Just follow the directions of those little triangle arrows. All right, so that was the Automa's turn, and now it's back to me. Boy, I don't really want to deploy many of these cards. Let's see, Darrow, though. Gain another non-gold from this location. Banish Darrow unless you deploy him on a gold. So this might be a chance for me to get that Justice card. So I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put Darrow here. Gain another non-gold from this location. I'll take the Justice card. Kind of been wanting that one. We'll take that, put it into my hand. And banish him unless you deployed him on a gold. I didn't. I deployed him on an orange. So he does get banished. But I'm going to remember use that Dr. Virani hopefully at the end of the game to try to draw him back in hand. So that was my deploy action. And you can see that actually gained me a card there because I picked one up from that location. Now, some of the cards that you play that say you can keep the card, then it says, and in your turn. That card doesn't have me, force me to end my turn, so I can still take a card. So I can take this one, which allows me to gain a gold from this location, and then end my turn. It's 10 if I have a gold, and 10 if no obsidians. And same here. This is so that one's up to 35. This one's up to 30 with the gold and no obsidians. Well, I want to keep an obsidian. So I don't. These two orange ones, if they all have that same bonus, it may be rough for me. So we'll see. They both just tell me I can gain a gold at the end of my turn. And let's see, what was this Romulus card? Gain a blue from this location, banish Romulus unless you deployed him directly on top of a gold. If you have the Sovereign token plus 15. That's a pretty good card. So I may want to try to get that Romulus card. I'm going to keep this here because I don't want to accidentally lose Romulus to the Automa. So I'm going to take this one as my card. And I know I'm going to play it soon, so I'm just going to put it right there on top. So I'm taking from the Institute, which means I get to take my bonus of moving a token to the Institute. So that was my deploy action with Darrow, and then my gaining a card. And so at this point now, I'm up to 6 cards. And I want to try to get multiple cards to benefit from Darrow, at least 7. All right, back to the Automa. Put one on D. All right, so we're putting Cassius here on D. And Cassius is pretty good. Gain a card directly under this one. Banish Cassius unless this card is a gold. But the bonus at the end is worth 25 plus 40 if I have both Mustang and Darrow. And I have Mustang, and I'm going to try to get Darrow. So that would be a really good card for me. So I definitely want to try to get that gold card there. And then he's taking from the Institute. So he's going to take the Reporter. And then he does get the bonus of the Institute. So he's going to put yet another token there on the Institute. Now, hopefully he's not going to take Cassius from me. We'll see. He's going to put one on B. So Severo comes out. Now, Severo is one of the ones that I could get from the Banish pile. That was one listed on Dr. Virani's card here. He's going to take one from Luna, though. So he's going to take Severo. And he's going to gain the bonus, which he's already got that. But it does make... Oh, yeah. Makes him move up the fleet track, sorry. So he goes up the fleet track one more time. So fortunately, Cassius is still there. But these card rows are getting really empty. All right, so you may gain a gold from this location if you do end your turn. So I want both of those golds that are out there. The Romulus I could probably gain sometime later. So, but I don't want to. Yeah, I think I'll just do this. I'll just, whoops, don't need both of those. I'm just gonna put this down on top of the gold, on top of Cassius, and I'm gonna gain Cassius, and I do just end my turn. So I do get Cassius, which is a card I do want to keep, so let's put him underneath. Suppose I could potentially give up Ragnar, because I haven't seen Seppi come out yet. So that's my gained card and ending my turn because that's what the orange card says. So I don't actually get a bonus this time. Back to the Automa, play 1 to A. So Quicksilver, oh, that's a 40-point card. And then taking one from Jupiter. So they're going to take the orange card. No benefit there, no bonus. They're going to play 1 to Luna. Gardner goes down here. They're going to take 1 from A. So they're going to take Quicksilver. So I guess I'm not going to be able to use that one. And then they gain the benefit, so yet another. Now, again, remember, once we get to 7 of anything, as soon as one of us has 7 in any 2 of the 3 categories, game's over. He's already got 5 here. And he's already up to 4 here, so I need to keep my eye out on that. So that is his turn. And now it's back to me. So let's see. The Ragnar card, I haven't seen Seppi come out yet. And the Ragnar card says, banish the top card of another location. If it's a gold or a gray, place 1 influence on the Institute. That might not be a bad. Banish the top card of another location if it's a gold or a gray. I think I kind of want that Romulus card, though, so I don't really want to banish that one. It would be nice to get that function, though, but there's no gray or gold out there that I'm willing to get rid of. And Romulus is not one that I can gain back at the end of the game with Dr. Virani. So, but getting up that Institute is going to be pretty good. So maybe I'll go ahead and do that. Maybe a bad decision, but I'm going to go ahead and banish this gold. And because I did that, I get to place one on the institute. That does give me the opportunity to pull that up. All right. Now let's see. If deployed directly on top of a violet or a pink, move that card to top of the location. That one doesn't look too great. I'm going to go ahead and take, instead of one of the cards up here, I can't take Ragnar back up. And this one's going to let me gain a gold if there's no golds out. So I'm just going to take one blindly off here, and then I roll the dice to see what my bonus will be. So I picked up Pulse Fist Engineer. You may gain an obsidian from this location if you do end your turn. You may treat this card as having the same name. So 18 is with an obsidian. So this is actually a better orange card than the ones that I've seen for my functions. That's not a bad one to take. And I roll the dice to see what my bonus is. Another banish. All right. So I don't really need this one, so let me go ahead and banish that card. And back to the Automa. All right, they're going to deploy to D. So the sponsor comes out. They're going to take from C. Oh, bummer. They're taking Ragnar. I was hoping to get him back. No benefit. And then they're going to deploy to the Institute. The developer comes out. They're going to take one from C. So now they're taking Alfred. And then they get the bonus. Since they took it from C, they get to move up the track one more on Jupiter. So that is the turn for the Automa. Well, both obsidians just disappeared from the board, and that was what I was hoping to do with the Pulse Fist Engineer. So, and I don't have the Sovereign token, which would help me use the Magistrate well. So, none of these cards in my hand look like they're going to be great for me to use. So I may just go ahead and use the Scout method this time. So I'm going to reveal the card, place it on any location, and take the bonus of that. So it's the nanny. No, let's see. This one might not be bad for me to try to gain at some point. So let's see. Pay one healing, place 2 influence. No violet or pink out here. Yeah, I think I'll just put here. Nope, I'm going to put him here so I can move up the fleet track again. All right, that was my scout action, and back to the Automa. So deploy to Jupiter. The seer comes. I'm sorry, the seer comes out, and then take from A, gain the bonus of A. So they're at 6 now, and then deploy to B. So there's a pink card, and then take a card from Jupiter. Gain the bonus, moving up. Wow, they're getting close to end game, and I am struggling to get the cards that I need. So, that was the end of that turn, and it's back to me. Wow, none of these cards that are out here look real great, so I think I'm just going to do the Scout again. I'm turning this one over, the Hypnotist. Oh, I've never been a fan of this card. It's causing to banish cards, but you also have to banish one of your own, so I don't think that's going to be real great. So I'm just going to put it down here. At least it's an odd one, so if he takes it, it won't really benefit him as much. I'm going to do that, and then, well, yeah, and I'm probably going to catch up to him on the Institute, so I'm only going to get 2 points for those. Actually, let's go ahead and put him here. I get 3 points. No, let's go here. I get a 5-point swing by moving up the track, going from 10 to 15, so that's the most points I'll gain. All right, now, when you run out of cards for the Automa, you shuffle these back in, the 4 that you set out aside earlier, and you just shuffle them up. And then after you've shuffled them up, you take 4 out again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's set those aside, and we start over again. So, going to deploy to B. 4D Painter. This is 31 if each of your cards is a different color. I've got too many golds there, so that's not going to work. And then they're going to take one from Jupiter, so they take the Hypnotist, and they gain the bonus. So wow, they're at 7. So they are even closer to ending the game. And then they go here. They're putting one on Jupiter, which is Fitchner. Now Fitchner is with 10 with a red and 10 more with Severo. But banishing him would actually be pretty good because I could pull him back. He's one of the ones that Dr. Virani can pull back. Anyway, deploying there, taking from A. There is no card. So it says go this way. Oh, doesn't matter. They're going to take Fitchner. All right, and they're going to get the actions. They're moving up again to level 8 now. That is their turn. Oh boy. Let's see. Move a card from this location to top of the location where there's no card of the same color. Yeah, none of these cards are looking really great for me. This one might not be bad, so there is no obsidian for me to gain, but um, in order for me to pull up a card instead of just randomly pulling one, I'm going to go ahead and play the Pulse Engineer. I was hoping to gain an obsidian, but there aren't any out, so I'm just going to put him down, and I'm going to pull up the nanny. If I can deploy him on a silver later, it's going to give me an extra helium, so this gives me a good deploy action. And I'm pulling it from Jupiter, which moves me up, which gives me another 6 points at the end of game scoring. So not looking real good here on my scoring, but we'll see. All right, so we're going to deploy to A. Administrator comes out. We're taking from C, which moves him up Jupiter because the bonus. So all the way to level 9 now. And then taking or putting on A again. Lysander comes out. And then taking from Luna, which is this one, and gaining the action. They already have that one. And they're moving up Jupiter again. I think I may have actually given them some of these as their bonus at times. I'm not sure. Just almost did at that time. Wondering if I'd have done it before. It may have been a mistake. I may have to watch back on the video, but he should get the Jupiter bonus. He moves up. Now he's at level 10. That's as high as he can go. So from now on, if he gets that Jupiter bonus again, you're going to use this and go, and then he'd get the Mars bonus. Or if it's the other way, he would get the Institute bonus. So that is the end of his turn. And again, not great cards out here for me. Let's see. Gain the top guard of the tech. Banish Lysander unless you deployed him on Luna. If you have a sovereign token, Octavia or Cassia. So not great there. Okay. If deployed directly on top of a silver, white, or copper, move that card to the top of the location and gain a helium. So I'm going to pull him out, put him here. And since I did that, I'm going to gain a helium. And then taking a card. Yeah. Not really seeing any great cards. Okay, so this one is if I have both Mustang and Darrow, and I've got Mustang and I can get Darrow later. This one is for all the different colors, and right now I've got gold, white, and yellow, so getting another color would be good. This one is if I have at least 3 helium, 3 influence on the Institute, and at least 3 levels. So I've got everything except for the helium, so I do need to get a helium, so maybe I should just take, oh, I just put down the nanny, so I can't take that one. This one is the one that's going to help me gain him back, and this is if I have Sovereign Token, gain a card of my choice from Luna, which there aren't really any great cards in Luna right now. So I think I'm just going to take this one as my gain. It is Quietus, 14 points plus 16 if I have the most influence on the Institute, which I'm probably not. But if I deploy it on the Institute, I will move up to Fleet Track, which might help, and it's a blue card, so there's that, and then I get my bonus. Oh, goodness. Banish. Wow. That is just not helping me. Let's see. He wants even cards, so I'll banish an even card. All right, back to the Automa. I guess I am playing the whole game because we're almost done here. Advance on B, or sorry, deploy to B, and then take one from Luna. So he's going to actually just take that card, gain the benefit. He's already got that. Moving up the track, he can't. Arrow says go to the next one, so he goes here and gains this one, and that is going to signal the end game condition. He's past 7 here, he's past 7 there. And so 2 of the 3 he has met. All right, so that is the end game condition, but he went first, so I'm going to get to go last. And so we finish his turn. Going to deploy to C. It'd be great if a good card comes out here for me. He's going to take from B, and then he's going to banish this card. And he's banishing an orange card. All right. So I just have one more turn, and to make that magistrate work, I need to get a Mars. Having the blue card is only going to be worth 14 points, and if I deploy it, I can move up the Fleet Track, which would give me another 7 points. So, yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll go ahead and take him and deploy him on the Institute to move up the Fleet Track. And then drawing my card, I need to get a helium token to satisfy the magistrate. So I'm going to take the helium token because I'm going to gain the nanny, which gives me another color in my hand for the Mustang function. And that is the end of my turn, and that's the end of the game. So now we get into the end game scoring. Now the way the end game score sheet works, and let me just go ahead and put this under the close-up camera and talk through that a little bit. So on this, you can see that we're going to put any in-game scoring. So for me, this is where I'm going to look at this Justice card that's got that in-game symbol and see what I can do with that, and also the Dr. Virani card that has that in-game symbol there. So I'm going to look and see if those give any particular scores. For the Automa, this I usually just put 70 because the Automa starts with a 70 score automatically. Then we look at our cards, and we're going to add up the VP and abilities. So this is adding up the top point, the numbers in the top corner, and then also any combo benefits that come from the bottom functions. Then we add up the points from the fleet track. So I'm going to get 28, and Automa is going to get 43. And then we add up points for the helium tokens. Automa only has 1, so you're going to get 3 points. I have 3, so I'm going to get 9. And then the VP, which, oh, I blew it. I needed to get that sovereign token. Well, he has a sovereign token, so he's going to get another benefit of 10 points there. And then for the Institute, he has the most at 7, so he's going to get 7 times 4 for 28 points. I only have 4 times 2. I'm going to get 8 points there, so you smoked me on that one. And we're just going to add all that up. So he's definitely going to beat me on a lot of categories. I'm hoping that I can catch up to him on the card scoring. All right, now one other thing about scoring, so let me switch back to this view here. Again, going back to this even number, I need to look at his cards. I need to sort them into odd and even. And he's going to benefit more from the even cards than the odd. So I'll just sort them here. Let me just move this out of the way for a second. So we got odd, odd, odd. 0 is even. So I did, fortunately, benefit from him taking a lot of odd cards. All right, so now on the back of the rule book, it gives the scoring in the Automa rules. There's a little chart here. So in this chart, it tells you for normal and then for different levels, so you can change the difficulty level. Let me just go ahead and show that on the close-up as well. So under normal scoring, for every matching, so for this case, since it was even, for all his even cards, he's going to get 6 points, and for his odd ones, he's going to get 3. And you can see how it scales. The harder level you want to go, the more the matching cards are worth, and the more the non-matching cards are worth. So we'll do normal. He'll get 6 points for the matching and 3 points for the non-matching. All right. That is the scoring there. So if I look at his cards here, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 that are even, which means he's going to use, he counts 20 cards. And so he's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 odd ones. So I'm just going to stack those there in case I need to recount them if I forget. And then these other cards don't matter. Okay, so he's got his 20 for scoring. Now I need to look at my end game functions and see if I can benefit at all. So right now in my collection here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. And the Justice card says, if you have the Sovereign token, you can gain one of your choice from Luna. I don't have the Sovereign token, so I can't take that benefit. And even if I did, it's the Gardener, which is worth 10 points plus 5 for every violet or pink, and I don't have any, and I would lose 10 points, so it's no benefit. So the Justice card didn't do me any good. Dr. Virani, though, should do me good. So you may gain any number of these banished cards back into your hands. It's only worth 9 points, but I can gain Darrow back into my hand. So I will. So it's Victra, Severo, Fitchner, and any reds. Now, none of the other cards came out into the banished pile. Only Darrow as a red gets back into my hand. And so that is the only card that I gained from Dr. Virani. So I'm going to get 15 points for the Justice. I'm going to get 9 points for Dr. Virani. I'm going to get 10 for Darrow, but down at the bottom, 30 if I have 7 or more cards, including Darrow, and I do have exactly 7. So that's going to give me 40 for Darrow. The Magistrate is 20 plus 15 if I have at least 3 Helium, 3 Influence, and 3 on the Fleet track, which I did satisfy, so it's going to give me 35. The Nanny is 10 plus 5 for every silver, white, and copper. And I have 2 whites, no silvers or coppers, but that's going to give me 20 points for the Nanny. And then Mustang is 20 points plus 5 for every different color. So I've got gold, brown, white, red, and yellow. So it's going to give me 25 points plus 20, so 45 points for Mustang. And then Cassius is 25 points plus 40 if I have both Mustang and Darrow, which I do. All right, so I could add all those points up on paper and score them, but let me show you how the scoring app works. All right, so we're going to go to the Score Game link. And I'm just going to put my name in here, so we'll just do Bill. Oops. All right. And then my fleet track level is 7. And my helium, I have 3. And I do not have the sovereign token. And on the institute, I have 4. And I was using Minerva as my house. Now I'm going to score versus Automa. I could add other players, so if you're playing with multiple people, you can do that. I'm scoring versus Automa. Now the Automa, I'm going to go normal, and you can choose your level of difficulty, but I'll go normal here. And the Automa is on 10 on the fleet track, and they have just 1 helium, but they do have the Automa, or the sovereign token, I mean. And then on the institute, they have 7. And their bonus was from the even cards. And what did we say? There were 13 and 7, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 13 and 7. So they had 13 even cards and 7 odd cards. And then I start scoring. Now I'm going to put my cards in. So let's go to the golds first. So in the golds, I have Cassius, which is here. And I have Mustang, which is here. And I have, that's all for my golds. And then in the browns, I have the nanny. So I'll click here. And then in the whites, I have the magistrate. And I have the justice. And then in the reds, I have Darrow. And then with Dr. Vierney, oh, actually, I think I need to use the Dr. Vierney card to pull in Darrow, so I don't want to put him there yet. So yellows, Dr. Vierney. All right, and so I do done. So those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards other than Darrow. Done. And now I'm going to trigger my in-game abilities. So for Justice, there were no, I couldn't take it because I didn't have the Sovereign card. So if I click on that, I didn't have Sovereign tokens, so it says I can't use that. So I say OK. And then for Dr. Vierney, you may gain any number of the banished cards. So I'm going to gain cards, and I'm going to gain Darrow. All right. So that is good. OK. And then I click Done, and then reveal the scores. And so, I actually somehow squeaked out a win. You can see here, it shows me that I got 274 to the stained normal mode of 253. So I probably would have lost if I would have gone up any higher on the difficulty level. And it shows you how the points come out. So for the end game, I didn't score any specific to that, and that's where the 70 goes for their automatic starting point. But I got 229 card points, mainly from Cassius and Mustang and Darrow. So those 3 cards scored me a lot. They only ended up getting 99 because they drew a lot of odd-numbered cards and only ended up having 13 even numbers. They smoked me on the fleet track, but I beat them by a little bit on the helium. They did get the 10 for the Sovereign, and they beat me badly in the Institute. And then I had exactly 7, so no penalty for that, and they don't get penalized for that in any regard. Now, if you click on the question mark here, it shows you how all the points break down. So as I said, Cassius gave me 65, Mustang gave me 45, so that's up to 110 now. The nanny only gave me 20, so that gets me up to 130. The magistrate gave me 35, which gets me up to 165. And then the justice only 15, Dr. Vierney 9, but then Darrow gave me another 40. So I got a lot of points there, and then it just shows you the sum up. And you can also see the breakdown for the Automa. So that is how you play the solo version of Red Rising. Hopefully I didn't make too many mistakes. If you noticed any, put them in the comments below. And if I notice any as I'm back editing, I'll make some comments in the video as well. Just type in some corrections there for you. But hopefully it was pretty straightforward. I think I came across almost all the actions. I did use the scout function. I did draw from here and roll the dice a few times. We did have to use the triangle. So I think just about everything that could come up did come up. And so hopefully that helped you get introduced to the flow of the game and how the game works. If you play multiplayer rather than solo, not much changes. It's just that each player is doing it. You just don't use any of those solo cards. But all the gameplay is the same. The end game conditions is the same. The scoring is the same. So if you know how to play solo, then you pretty much know how to play the other way too with multiple players. This is a game that I've really been enjoying and getting a lot of fun out of both the solo and multiplayer version, although I've only played solo and 2 players so far. So I'd like to try it with more if possible here in the near future. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If it was, it would be great if you'd click on that like button down below. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel. And if you have comments about this gameplay, like I said, or about Red Rising in general, or questions about the game at all, please feel free to leave me those comments down below. I'd love to interact with you. As always, thanks for watching. This is Billy, Indiana, signing off.